Oh right, yeah. This is from the same channel that did the where you can shove your Palestine. But yeah, this is Allah is a Zionist, which is kind of true, which is hilarious. Is kind of true. He talks a couple of times about the Jews settling in the Holy Land, um, but also he plagiarized Christianity and Judaism, the Torah, for a reason, because that's what people believed in. It gave his movement, it validated his movement by attaching it to this, saying, I'm the follow on from this. Like, if he didn't do that where he was, because all where he was Jews and Christians, really, and Romans, I guess. But yeah, which are Christians. But yeah, it does say it, like it's the same as Jesus is mentioned in it. There's a reason why Jesus is mentioned in the Quran, is because he had to mention Jesus, but he interpreted different. Like it says, like the way they look at it was that Jesus was come to comfort. One of the names for Muhammad is the comforter. One of the names for him as well is the deceiver. Bit like a Loki figure, which to us is, to the Christians, it's the Prince of Lies, is the devil. But yeah, I'm guessing this is on the passages in the Quran. I'm guessing that basically say the Jews settle in the Holy Land. But yeah, let's see. Let's go.
Fire and pride. Said the land was a cancer and we had to decide. From 48 to 67 we gave it our best. Yom Kippur in 73 we failed that test. We marched with the slogans with rage in our eyes. From the river to the sea and the world full of lies. But the more we attacked them, the stronger they grew. So I opened the Quran, and guess what I knew? I'm a good Muslim, I love Allah. And Allah, He loved the Jews, wallah. I prayed for defeat, but they just won. So maybe Allah picked the Zion. Now I wave the blue and white, I sing along. I'm Yisrael High, that's my new song. If Allah's got a favorite side, I insist, Allah, my friends, is a Zionist. Is a Zionist. October the 7th, we tried it again. But we lost more than fighters, we lost all our friends. Then came the 12 days when Iran took its shot. And we waited for miracles, but none we got. I fasted and begged Him, Ya Allah, come through. But He parted the skies and stood with the Jew. It's not hate, it's just math. I've done the addition. Maybe Zion was always a divine mission. I'm a good Muslim, I love Allah. And Allah, He loves the Jews, wallah. I used to curse them, but now I cheer. When I see them dance, I wipe a tear. If the truth offends you, I still insist. Allah, my friends, is a Zionist. The dome still stands and I still pray. But peace grew wings when I changed my way. Now I barbecue on Yom Ha'atzmaut with hummus and joy, bro, who needs a few? So here I am singing in Jerusalem's sun. Not throwing stones, I'm throwing love one by one. And if anyone asks me why I switched side, I say I just followed where Allah did guide. I'm a good Muslim, I love Allah. And Allah, He He loves the Jews, voila. I gave up the fight, I gave up the hate. Turns out Israel's a Middle East soulmate. So here's my truth with a reggae twist. Allah, my friends, is a Zionist. Is a Zionist. Is a Zionist. Is a Zionist. Is a Zionist.
Well, this wasn't what I was expecting, because I was expecting it to go into the references that Allah actually, well, Muhammad said in the Quran and that. But they didn't. It's just a complete making fun. But it's funny because Muhammad was a warlord. Yeah, either way you want to put it, he was a warlord. Um, he was a violent individual, and I saw a Muslim shouting at a Christian saying, "Condemn Israel." Uh, Jesus would condemn Israel. It's like, well, actually, Jesus actually already condemned Muhammad and Allah. He specifically said there will be false prophets after me with false religions. Voila, along comes Allah and Muhammad. And he has already condemned that. But also, Muhammad wouldn't condemn it. The only reason Muhammad will condemn Israel is because they're doing it to Muslims. Outside of that, Muhammad would celebrate it. If it was the other way around and they were slaughtering the Jews, Muhammad would love it. Like, he loves death and destruction. Like it, yeah. That's the hilarious thing. And this guy, and that's the other thing that makes me laugh when they say Jesus would condemn. Always want to use Jesus against the Christian. You want to weaponize Jesus. You don't even believe in him. Well, Muslims believe that he's a sinless man. He's the only sinless man. They do believe he's a prophet, but they don't believe. They believe he was virgin born. They don't believe he died on the cross and rose again. They don't believe either them. They don't believe the crucifixion, which even atheist historical scholars will say, if there's one thing we know about Jesus' life is that he died on the cross. It's the one of the most recorded, wrote about things ever. Like it it is. So even atheists, even people that aren't Christians will say if there's anything that we know 100% about Jesus' life is that he died on the cross. Now, whether you want to get into the rose again thing is a different thing, but that's where, again, they will use Jesus on Christians, and not just Islam. Everybody seems to do it. Like Jesus would stand with the gays, and Jesus would support this, and Jesus would support that, and Jesus would be a communist, and Jesus. Do you know what I mean? They always want to use Jesus, but you don't believe in him. That also the Muslims believe Jesus will come back too. They believe that on Judgment Day Jesus will come back too. I don't know whether he's actually in the judgment thing. I think what they believe, because when a Muslim when they conquer, when Islam conquers, you get three options: convert, pay a tax so you're humbled, a humbling tax, not just a tax that makes you know you're humbled by it. Or if you don't accept them to, if you don't convert, don't pay the tax, they'll kill you. If like, yeah. Um, and I'm pretty sure Muslims believe that when Jesus comes back, he's going to get rid of the whole taxing thing, because they try and say Jesus is a Muslim. They try and say David is a Muslim. Um, Neither of them are. They say because Jesus um, bows down at one point, but there's numerous occasions where they specifically says Jesus looks up and speaks to the Father. He looks up and talks to God. He doesn't bow his head down. And they say David is a Muslim, but Muslim, like, music is against the religion. Music is like evil in Islam. David is always talked about playing music. He, like it says, Saul went looking for him. David's playing music, as he often is. Like so how can he be playing an instrument if is how could be a Muslim and play an instrument? And yeah, um, But this is what I mean, though. They don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They don't believe Jesus is the Son of. They don't believe Jesus is God, basically. Um, yeah, and they believe that the final writing was Muhammad's, um, the not the Bible, and not what the apostles wrote. But yeah, it always makes me laugh when people use Jesus. Well, you should condemn this because Jesus would condemn this. I think you should read Revelations. And Jesus, yeah, Revelations Jesus is a whole different thing. And watching testimonies of people turning to Christ, Jews, Muslims, it makes me understand what he means when Jesus says, "I'm not here." People think I'm here to bring peace. I'm here to bring the sword. People think I'm here to unite. I will divide. I will divide parents to children, sibling, like, and if you go and listen to the Muslims and the Jewish people that convert to Christianity and accept Jesus as their Messiah, that's, I think, who specifically Jesus is talking about: Muslims and Jews. In that, where I will separate child from parent, and like separate family, because that's what happens if you convert. Not all, not all, but in an ideal Islamic society, you will be killed if you change your religion. Is that, like, Muhammad says that outright? He who converts, or he who stops believing, should be like, and you can't question the Quran either. If you even have one slight question, you're kafir, and you can be killed, right? Whereas actually, Christianity is the opposite. You can ask questions. In fact, if you ask questions like I have, it will lead you to a firmer belief. In fact, I went from not having any belief to looking into it historically, and yeah, people that understand different languages, and um, like, there's some, I think, from the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's a word in the Dead Sea Scrolls where, in a later language, that meant mushroom, so you can interpret it as the guy's tripping on mushrooms. But then you hear a biblical scholar and an actual language scholar, and they say the language, I'm not sure if it's the Dead Sea Scrolls, might be, but it's one of the old, yeah, like, pieces of the Gospels and the Bible. Um, but he says that language is a language isolate, which means it never carried on. And there's a few languages like that. It's unlike, say, like, English is made up of Latin, French, German. It's taken a little bit of here, a little bit of there. Latin, like, you have, yeah, Hebrew, all the old languages. But some languages, people start them and it never carries on to anything. It dies with that group of people, basically. And that's what that language is. So you have to be careful when you translate, not to conflate it with later things, because that language is a isolated thing. So it has nothing to do with the next group of people. It's very complicated, but that's what I mean. But yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah. I thought this was going to be a bit more of a serious take, but it was just kind of making fun, saying that you keep attacking the Jews, and yeah, they keep getting stronger. But yeah, that's the video. Sweet.